It looks like we have the live button, Jeremiah. Monday, November 4th, meeting again to talk all things employee wellness and a little bit more. I'm Krisna Hanks, the Director of Employee Wellness for Ovidia Heart Health Team, and I'm with my colleague Jeremiah.
Hi, guys. I run the sales department, the director of the sales team, and is this our fourth session now, Chris? And I believe it is. So that was our commitment to you, our team, our community, everybody that's grabbing this material to go strong every Monday till the end of the year. So we're doing that, and we're happy to be here with you guys in a busy week, election week. So we'll talk a little bit more about that and really how important our topic is for today as we round up the year. But Krista, we have a little disclaimer, don't we?
Yes, we do. We want to make sure that everyone always understands of these programs, whether it's employee wellness concern or just health concern. This is for information, for your knowledge base. This is not medical advice. You always want to consult with your health team, whoever that is, health providers, medical providers. But this is really for just good conversation, food for thought, education. And also very interesting, since we're going to be always talking on Mondays about employee wellness, is that you can think of employee wellness as also just your own health if you're still working or semi-retired, working part-time as an individual, but also the health of your company or team. As Jeremiah says, he's the head of our sales team, right? Here's our medical disclaimer for those of you who, what I just mentioned there. But today's topic of what we're talking about as far as employee wellness concerned is about mindset. And when we think about anything, if we think about sports, if we think about performing arts, which is my background, I had 30 plus years as a professional dancer. If we think about business, we think about performance. What makes a high performer? What makes a high performing company? And we automatically include mindset. However, when we think about our health, we often don't include that. And there's great research out there. One person in particular who I follow a lot is Professor Alia Crum, C-R-U-M. She's a professor at Stanford. She was also herself a high performing athlete, collegiate athlete, talking about how influential our mindset is when it comes to our health. In fact, that it can be a positive or it can be a negative. And Jeremiah, I know you were involved in sports. You were yourself an athlete. You work also with other athletes, but also as a sales leader, performance is everything, right?
No, I like how you look at that and said that, Krista. Like I look at sales professionals, elite salespeople as like a business athlete, an elite athlete. And I love how you brought that into this, our topic for today, our transition from the disclaimer. So that's what we want to talk about is positive mental attitude, mental well-being, mindset, and ways to approach that, and also how the metabolic component drives that and the role that sugar and everything plays into that. I had a cool meme that I shared with one of my favorite athletes that I get to train with on a weekly basis. So I'm going to bring that up as we're talking because I want you guys to have that too, and I'll vocalize that and share that with you guys here. But no, you're spot on. We treat this as a business athlete, tier one operator.
Absolutely. And I've heard the term corporate athlete,
Nice.
right?
I like
And that's very, very true, right? You've got long hours, long days, lots of stress. And one of the reasons we chose this topic for today is, yeah, the election is stressful for some people, and how resilient we are with any kind of adversity is a lot dependent on the skills that we create. Having mentioned I was a professional dancer for 3+ decades, one knows automatically how resilient you are after you can come back from a little bit of setback or even an injury. But when it comes to our health, what's interesting in the research, and we know this from placebos, right? You can give people a placebo for a treatment along with good care and support, and they often do better, right? So they haven't even received a medication. We accept that philosophy in the world. So we need to start becoming more aware and putting more attention onto what is our mindset around our health. And I think a big factor that and why we in the Avadia Heart Health team is about when you have control, when you're controlling your health, meaning you're controlling your food, you're in control of your movement, you're in control of your sleep, you are right having the right mindset. So the more pieces that you can be practicing and spending time on and thus being in control is going to also help with your confidence, which leads into a better mindset.
Nice. And let me ask you this then with that, Krisna, with that said, so this, we understand that our audience, done like 4 sessions now in the series, our audience has been mixed of some leaders and some team members, some employees. So this question is going to be more for the leaders that are working with their employees. What are some ways to promote this in the workplace? Like, what are you doing? What would you do?
Great question. So part of the resiliency picture and mindset and is accepting that it doesn't mean you have to always be wearing that yellow smiley face. That's not the only piece of mindset. The mindset is understanding what skills are required. Do you have those skills, right? Whether that's within a team, communication skills, right? What is the etiquette? What are the protocols? Is everybody on the same page about that? That's a first step when we look at companies. It's not just that you're going to all of a sudden, oh, we're going to be healthy by having a weight loss program, something. Again, our programs are metabolic health focused, but you have to look at what skills are required and are we giving individuals the tools to be able to implement those skills and practices. That's the same thing that carries over when we talk about metabolic health. First, you need to know what it is. Interesting, I was making a video for one of our companies today, and I am always reminding people of what are the 5 markers of metabolic health, right? Waist circumference, blood pressure, blood glucose, triglycerides, and HDL. So reminders work and go a long way.
Nice. And we'll drop that every single time here, Krisna. Well done. So what's the role, the overall role that you would say metabolic health plays in mental health? And then I have that meme when you're done. I want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not only us as the Ovadia team talking about metabolic health and the relationship to mental health. There's 2 very prominent leaders in this field right now, and it's actually exploded, I would say, the last couple of years. And there's even a name for it. It's called metabolic psychiatry. You see 2 really well-researched and well-published individuals, Dr. Georgia Ede, EDE, and Dr. Christopher Palmer, PALMER, leading or I would say carrying the torch on this relationship between good metabolic health and good mental health. In fact, they're even using nutrition as one of their treatments, not saying they don't use pharmaceutical treatments, but having nutrition be one of the options for individuals dealing with metabolic issues. So we can see on this premier level, when it goes to something as important as mental health and psychiatrists using it, if we want to think about the workplace where you're spending a good majority of your hours, and for some people that also might be at home, we understand a lot of people work virtually, that your metabolic health and your mental health go hand in hand. And that mindset plays a role in that, right? If we're training and developing good mindset habits around our health, that can only be a win-win.
Yeah, it's so if you're training mindset, wow, that's
Yeah.
incredible. All right, so check this out, you guys. Sugar in your blood is called diabetes. Sugar in your brain is called dementia. Sugar in your liver is called fatty liver. Sugar in your teeth is called cavities. Sugar on your skin is called aging. Sugar in your cells is called oxidative stress. And this is from Healthy Harbor. And I've seen some of their stuff before that they put out. I respect them. So that caught my attention. And again, that came from somebody that I really, really trust and admire as an athlete. His name is Ashley Luther. So, guys, we got to really watch how the diet, what we're putting into our body, is affecting our brain really ultimately. So the brain runs the show. It's good stuff, Krista. So talk about this. Talk about the brain and the explosion of metabolic psychiatry. Like, what's happening out there? What are you seeing there? I know that you're pretty dug in and talk about that.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is, we have sort of historically labeled, supporting and treatment of mental health was the only options that you really had was medical or pharmaceutical treatments. But we know from the past that in the early 1900s, ketogenic diet was a treatment form for individuals with epilepsy. Epilepsy is a brain sort of malfunction neurologically. And then, of course, when we got more pharmaceuticals, then we went down that road. For many people, the diet was harder, right? Taking a medication was maybe a simpler form. But we're seeing now this resurgence of saying, well, nutrition should be an option if individuals are open to it, they want to try it, and they want to sort of have something else that they could explore as a treatment option. And how that relates to us in the world when we're trying to help individuals perform well in their job. That is the role of company leaders, is you want to enhance the skills and the mindset of all the individuals who work for you. And now we understand that the proper nutrition, the proper focus on metabolic health, the enhancing skills that build resiliency, that enhance our mindset, are all related into getting that maximum performance out of your most valued asset, right? Your employees. And on an individual level, that is just, a confidence building, and it's feeling valued for what you're contributing to the team.
Yeah, that was awesome what you said. That's what I want for my team, for all of our team members on our team, Kristen, but specifically for my team is I want them to have the best version of themselves every day. And that's as leaders, corporate athletes, that's what we should be striving for. I love that. Tell me this, because I want to save some room for some Q&A and some conversation with everybody and some bounce back. But what you mentioned this a bit earlier, that communication goes a long way. What are some things that you're seeing with our clients talking about employee wellness, staying on the wagon, so to speak, keeping it going, the good communication practices, and what are some things that you might implement if you were a leader again?
Well, I think it's constantly communicating, right? We know we live in a 24/7 social media overload. That said, I think you still can't communicate enough, right? Even in programs where we're on our second year with metabolic health, we still need to talk about the basics and to help people understand. Certainly those of us in the field, we've been living and breathing it for decades, some of us. However, not everybody has, or not everybody's had the opportunity to explore this. So keep communicating. I want to also, I think it's important for companies that want to have a metabolic focus to think that you can change and you can make changes at any age. Again, if you have the right tools. Same as you can build muscle at any age. And one of our newer coaching members, I know Chris Cornell has published a lot of photos of him working out at home. And certainly I work with many individuals over 50 and above. I've even got a fabulous client who is 86 years young and has completely embraced metabolic health. So learning that we can, learn and change at any age along the way. And I think that's something to not lose sight of.
Nice, Krisna. That's a good way to wrap up here. I know we have some questions coming in. Let's get to those questions. And I think just a comment on that the more that we explore, right, the more that we study and understand the ways how metabolic health really drives the whole thing. And I'm a bit biased because I have that education now. Obviously I work team, I'm entrenched, but we need to help spur that education. And then the communication point is also very valid. Like, you can't hit it enough. Like, if you feel like you're going too much, go again with communication, and then you're probably too much. Yeah, so that's good stuff, my friend.
So, question from Paul: what small changes to mindset could help create a more supportive workplace culture? Well, this is piggybacking on a little bit of who I mentioned at the very start, Professor Crum from Stanford. She had this very interesting study where she took domestic workers who had a perception that they were not active. She took them in a short training on mindset skills and training period, which I think was not very, very long, a few weeks. And they attached accelerometers on them. Accelerometer is just a fancy word for a Fitbit, but it tracks a little bit more. And then at the end, after not only the mindset training, but showing them, so demonstrating to them how active they were, they actually had a different perception of their health. They hadn't realized that they were actually active. So I would say, what small changes could someone make in the workplace culture is, demonstrate to individuals what they're doing, and that you're having some small success parties, right? How active are they? Again, one of our factories that we're working with, these people are standing up, moving around all day. We encourage them to understand that their activity level is actually quite high. So sometimes it's a question of demonstrating what they're actually doing and celebrating those successes, no matter how small they are. And that every little bit that they do is sort of encouraging and, let's say, empowering them on the mindset piece.
Yeah, totally, Krista. They're taking the transfer of ownership at that point, Paul. And then I think something that we talked about, last session, or maybe it was 2 sessions ago now, was how to start implementing, well-being wellness initiatives in the workplace.
Yes.
So healthy snacks, right? It was a good call out. We totally hitting that right before Halloween, and everybody just had a bunch of candy, right?
Right.
No, that's right on, Krista. What were you saying?
And a small communication piece was, I've worked with companies that have implemented, there's no evening emails or there's no weekend emails. We let individuals have their time off, that you're practicing mental skills that allow people to take breaks. Another simple one is encouraging people to take their lunch away from their desk, that they give, again, themselves a mental break, a mental pause. Are they encouraging them to have some kind of quiet time practices? We know all of these things help create a healthier mindset.
And we've seen some great benefits also from the challenges that we've helped clients produce and, execute on. Company-wide challenges are incredible. So great question. We have another one here from Scott. Scott says, what recommendations do you have for a company interested in helping to create or develop a plan here? Great question. Kristen, what should somebody like Scott do?
So if you're interested in getting a company employee wellness program, first step is reach out to you, Jeremiah, right?
Yeah, reach out to you and I. Yeah, Scott, have the strategy call and get your idea and your vision out and, the roadmap for that. What else,
Yeah.
Krista?
So I think the first is talk to your employees. Find out what they're interested in. And, whether it's an employee wellness program or a small something, or they're just interested in learning more about metabolic health, that might be a first step. Top down, we know top down that strategy is not always the most successful. Is first find out what your employees are interested in, where they need the most help with. We also have now 2 white papers. We have a white paper just out, as is up here on the screen, on mindset. We have another white paper on sedentary behavior in the workplace. Those are great little tools to read and research a little bit more. And then that next step would be, okay, well, I sort of have a good idea of what my company's interested in. Let's take it to the next level.
That's a great question, Scott. So it's like, yeah, that exploration, grab the white papers, just explore a little bit more, bring that to your team and maybe like a poll type question, see where everybody's at, and then get on a call with us. It's like the best thing to do is talk to the experts, talk to the people that are doing the work. We have some great client examples too. And I think what we're going to start doing, maybe by this time next year, we'll have a success story workbook that we could share as one of our white papers that'll be rich with companies that actually have taken that step, taking the step that you're taking. Scott, awesome.
Absolutely. And here's the white paper on mindset, the link for that. And would love to hear thoughts on that, because as I mentioned at the very start, we talk about it all the time with performers, sales teams, leadership teams. Everybody's talking about, I want high performers. As an individual, how you develop your skills and your mindset is not only great for if you're working, but your overall health in general.
Great stuff, Krista. There's the booking link, team. Jump on it. Love to talk with you. Help you with your strategy. Great session here. We will see you next week for more. Enjoy your election week, my friends. Get out and vote. And Krista, thank you for leading the way as always, my friend. Great stuff.
All right. Thank you. Nice to hook up again, and we'll see you all next week.